My journey began on the outskirts of what once was a thriving metropolis, its towering skyscrapers now crumbling relics of the past, serving as tombstones in the graveyard of humanity. These were the remnants of our civilization, now swallowed by the tide of an unprecedented disaster, or virus whose monstrous virulence had not been seen before in human history. This was a world brought to its knees, where life teetered on the edge of extinction, and where I found myself dwelling in a haunting limbo, neither dead nor truly alive. In the days before the outbreak, I was a microbiologist working in a cutting-edge laboratory. The virus, like a perfect predator, emerged with an insidious silence, spreading across continents and devastating populations before we could mount a response. When it hit our city, chaos reigned supreme, and before I knew it, I was infected, my fate seemingly sealed. But fate, as I would soon find out, had a different story to tell. In the dark abyss of the infection, instead of losing my humanity as so many others had, I found myself strangely aware and cognizant of my actions and surroundings despite the overwhelming compulsion for violence and hunger that now dominated my instincts. I was transformed into something more, a monstrous hybrid, part human, part creature, trapped in a body that longed for blood and flesh but driven by a mind still clinging to reason and morality. My existence was a living nightmare, the constant struggle between my human intellect and primal urges a never-ending war. Still, this curse became my blessing, my salvation. My newfound resilience and strength allowed me to endure where others could not, to survive in a world where survival was all but a distant memory. I wandered through the ruins of our once bustling world, a lone survivor in our landscape of desolation. The creatures that were once my neighbors and friends now roamed as mindless beasts, drawn by their insatiable hunger. The sight of them was a constant reminder of what I had become. Yet it also fueled my determination to resist the monstrous urges that lurked within me. I began to document my experiences, scribbling notes on scraps of paper, and recording my observations of the infection and its horrifying effects. I studied the behavior of the infected, their patterns, and their strengths and weaknesses, and all the while, I searched for answers, clinging to the hope that maybe, just maybe, my unique condition could hold the key to our cure, to our future for what remains of humanity. Every day was a battle, a struggle to retain the fragments of my humanity amidst the chaos of my existence. My journey of survival was not just about living through each day, but about remembering who I was, who I am, and who I could still be. I knew the path ahead was fraught with unimaginable challenges, but I was prepared to walk it. For in this post-apocalyptic world, I was no longer just a survivor, but a beacon of hope in a world consumed by darkness. As I stumbled through the ruins of civilization, I encountered survivors, a group of scientists and doctors seeking answers. They saw me not as a monster, but as a living enigma. Together, we delved into the origins of the infection, unearthing ancient secrets buried deep within the annals of time. With each revelation, a web of understanding unfolded before me. The microorganisms responsible for this plague were not agents of destruction but guardians of evolution. They sought to forge a new path for humanity, one where symbiosis reigned supreme, a cosmic dance between life and death, birth and rebirth. But as we deciphered the intricate patterns of this microbial symphony, Darkness loomed on the horizon. An extremist faction emerged, hell-bent on eradicating both the infected and the uninfected, convinced of their inherent superiority. The delicate balance of existence hung in the balance, and it was up to us to prevent a cataclysmic showdown. Armed with knowledge and compassion, we embarked on our desperate mission to spread awareness, to bridge the gap between ignorance and understanding. We rallied survivors, both human and undead, igniting our spark of hope in their weary hearts. Through empathy and shared experiences, we shattered the barriers that divided us. In the end, it was not our cure that saved us, but our realization, a collective epiphany that the infection was our catalyst for growth, or testament to the resilience of life itself. Bound by our shared struggle, humanity found unity in diversity, transcending the confines of flesh and mortality. As I navigated the sprawling labyrinth of shattered infrastructure and crumbling edifices, chance led me to a ray of hope amidst the darkness. A group of scientists and doctors, the remnants of a once prestigious research facility, huddled in the ruins. Recognizing the anomaly of my existence, they did not shun me. Instead, they welcomed me, seeing in me not a monstrous aberration, but a key to unravel the mystery of the devastating infection. Together, we embarked on a journey into the heart of the viral maelstrom, delving deep into the unexplored realms of microbiology. Through countless hours of meticulous research and relentless exploration, we unearthed an astounding truth. The virus, initially perceived as the harbinger of humanity's doom, was an evolutionary tool, or guardian sent to push the boundaries of human potential. These microscopic entities were not harbingers of the end, but agents of transformation, driving the evolution of our species towards a more resilient form. The infection, rather than our cataclysm, was our crucible, reshaping humanity in its fiery forge. It was our cosmic ballet of life and death, or sequence of birth and rebirth, or testament to the adaptive prowess of life itself. Our discoveries had been a beacon of hope amidst the prevailing darkness. Yet, even as we basked in the light of newfound understanding, ominous clouds began to loom on the horizon. The storm took the form of a radical faction, born from the ashes of the pre-apocalyptic world, hardened by the trials of this new world order. They called themselves Purity, an extremist group driven by an unforgiving doctrine. Convinced of their moral superiority, they saw the infection not as a natural phenomenon or evolutionary process, but as an affront to human sanctity, or blight that needed purging. They viewed themselves as the appointed saviors of mankind, the bastions of a past world striving to cleanse the earth of the infection's taint. The Purity was composed primarily of uninfected survivors. They were highly organized, their ranks filled with former military and law enforcement personnel who had managed to evade infection. They had access to pre-outbreak weaponry and resources, which they used ruthlessly to enforce their brutal crusade. Their extreme ideology was frighteningly simple: eradicate all traces of the infection. And that included the infected themselves. It was a disturbing echo of the darkest chapters in human history, with the infected standing in for a persecuted group, and the Purity playing the role of the ruthless oppressors. Their zealous crusade threatened to destroy the fragile equilibrium we had strived to establish. They sparked conflicts throughout the survivor enclaves, igniting fear and hatred amongst the uninfected and prompting retaliatory strikes from the infected. who had regained some degree of consciousness. Like me, this dangerous escalation was leading us towards an apocalyptic showdown. The Purities' continued aggression could trigger an all-out war, a catastrophic conflict that would pit humans against humans, brother against brother, promising nothing but devastation. If this were to happen, it could be the final blow to our already teetering civilization. In response to the Purities' escalating threat, we realized that our survival hinged not just on understanding the virus, but also on challenging the destructive ideologies that had taken root in the wake of the outbreak. Equipped with our newfound understanding, we set out on our mission of enlightenment, hoping to quell the fear and hostility that was teetering on the brink of igniting or catastrophic conflict. Our campaign was as much about education as it was about survival. We organized meetings with various survivor groups, utilizing our scientific expertise to explain the nature of the virus and the evolutionary purpose it served. We held seminars in the ruins of libraries, in abandoned schools, and anywhere we could gather people safely. We used diagrams and simple language, and even employed storytelling techniques to make the complex science accessible to all. We also listened, providing a platform for survivors to share their experiences, their fears, and their hopes. Through these stories, we emphasized our shared humanity, that despite the horrific transformations, the infected were victims, not monsters. We humanized them, gave them identities, and shared tales of infected individuals who, like me, had retained or regained some degree of consciousness. To bridge the gap between the uninfected and the infected, we facilitated interactions between both groups. We implemented controlled environments, where the uninfected could observe the infected from a safe distance, gradually breaking down the walls of fear and revulsion that had built up over time. Moreover, we took pains to negotiate peace between the infected and human factions, reminding both sides of their shared humanity and the need for cooperation in the face of a common threat. We set up neutral zones for diplomacy and established codes of conduct to prevent violent skirmishes. Slowly but surely, our efforts started bearing fruit. Fear gave way to understanding, and hostility was replaced with cautious acceptance. While the Purities' influence didn't disappear overnight, their grip on the survivors' psyche began to loosen. The road to unity was not smooth, and there were setbacks along the way. But the ties that bound us together strengthened over time. The infected and the uninfected started seeing each other not as threats, but as different sides of the same coin, all part of our humanity struggling to survive and adapt in the face of our world-altering crisis. It was during these tumultuous times that we discovered our salvation. It wasn't a miraculous cure that we found, but an awakening, a profound realization that the plague was not a punishment, but a catalyst. This microbial calamity had awakened a newfound resilience within us, fueling our evolution and our growth. United in our shared struggle, humanity found a new form of unity, one that embraced diversity and recognized the value of adaptation. We rose above our fears and our prejudice, transcending the limitations of our former selves. In the face of adversity, we discovered not only our will to survive but also our ability to evolve, to grow, to adapt. And so, our journey continues, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity amidst the storm. Thank you for watching. You could download the vocabulary PDF below. To stay up to date on our future videos, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, and let us know what you think in the comments below.